Hello, good evening. Welcome to Guns and Yellow Ribbons by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. This is the place where passion meets perspective, where we break down everything that happened in the world of Arsenal. Today we'll be unpacking a disappointing draw against Crystal Palace. The result certainly wasn't what we were hoping for as we push towards the end of the season. We'll also turn our attention to the huge night ahead, our first leg of our European Semi Final against PSG. Can the boys in red and white rise to the occasion and take the big step forward towards European glory? And before we dive into that, we will congratulate the Arsenal women's team who've booked a place in the Women's UEFA Champions League final. An incredible performance. They beat Lyon 7. I knew I'd cock it up. 5-3 on aggregate. And now they face Barcelona in the finals. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. This is your Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Enjoy the show.
Good evening, boys. And before I welcome our lovely guest who's in here with us, you gotta have a go. Listen, I found GPT this weekend, and I love it.
I'll tell you what, Ferg. There were some long words in that intro.
There wasn't there?
I've never heard long words like that come out of you before, son.
I done all right though. I done all right. There was more than about 5 letters in that, and I got it all together. I done okay.
Well, I've seen the Fergus's intro list. Mate, shorten it next time.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Listen, Albert, welcome to Guns and Yellow Ribbons. You have been on with us many times before, and we have you here for a reason. But we'll talk to you about that afterwards. How are you, mate?
I'm good, man. It's good to be back. Nice weather, good company. Just need a few drinks. I haven't got one right with me right now, but no, it's good to see the guys, man. It's been a long time.
Good to see you,
Albert.
Albert.
You including Trev in that?
All of you.
You swerved that really, really well. Dale, we got you back on again. It's good to have you back, mate. How have you been? How's the quad
good,
going?
mate, all good.
The ham?
All good, yes. 2 weeks into physiotherapy now, so I don't need a crutch to walk around anymore. So, yeah, no longer get the use of the disabled facilities at the Emirates. So, I'm back to queuing in the normal toilets now. All good, though. All good.
You might get it on looks, mate. Fine.
Yeah. No,
Thanks, mate.
He might get. They might let him in. They might think it's Jamie O'Hara, mightn't they? So,
Oh, enough of that. I can't see it. Albert, give me your view. I don't look nothing like Jamie O'Hara, do I? Anyway, moving swiftly on. He didn't answer that quick enough.
Trevor, it was your idea. It was not idea, but you said to us beforehand when we're looking at this that we should. We don't do it very much on this podcast, but we should nod an appreciation and respect to the women's team who have achieved a fantastic thing getting into the Champions League final to face Barcelona. Hence why you recommended Albert, as he does a lot around the women's football. How are you,
mate,
Trevor?
Look, mate, it's we don't pay a lot of attention to the women's game on this podcast. We're not making excuses for that. We all follow the men's game closer than we follow the women's game. I live miles and miles away. I couldn't physically travel to London to watch the women as well. But after that performance yesterday by those women, I watched the whole game, and this team called Lyon that I'm hearing are so good that came to the Emirates and won last week. It was an astonishing performance by the Arsenal ladies. And I thought, well, who can we have? And then Albert, you do this show, mate. You follow the women. So I thought, let's ask Albert if he'll come and tell us about it. Albert, where does this victory yesterday for our women stand, mate? It's superb, isn't it?
It is. They say it's the best performance by an English side in Europe, full stop. There's so many factors I can sort of go into, but if I go back to sort of the first leg last week, listen, you give Lyon their due respect. They've won the competition 8 times. They've got some fantastic players in Diani, Lindsay Heaps, Demornay. They've got Daniel van der Donk. They've got some really top-class international, world-class players. So you give them a respect. But I think maybe the occasion got to Arsenal last week, particularly in the first half. They were a lot better. And I think the encouragement I took from, because I was at the game for the first leg, the encouragement that I took with the second half performance was a lot better. But as you guys know, in terms of top level European competition, you switch off for one moment, the game's gone. They get the goal to go 1-1, the penalty from Caldente. And then literally a few minutes later, Leon go down the other end and score after Arsenal completely dominating them and bossing them off the pitch in the second half. But you took encouragement. It was only 2-1. Obviously, the away goal rule doesn't count anymore. Leon, going into the game yesterday, I thought Arsenal had a puncher's chance to get through, going on what I saw, particularly off the second leg at the Emirates. But I don't think no Arsenal fan watching that game expected that performance. That was stunning. Defensively, they exposed Leon. They always talk about winning the midfield battle, which Arsenal did with Kim Little, Stalwart, Frida Marnham, and Mariana Caldente were absolutely superb. In those kind of games, Trevs and Ferguson, the guys, you're 2-1 down. You want to start the game well. Arsenal did that and more. They actually had a chance to make it 2-2 on aggregate with Kim Little, but they get a fortuitous goal to make it 1-1. But they completely dominated the game in the first half. They looked like there was a score every time they came forward. Spoken about in terms of the manager, Renée Slegers, the turnaround, obviously, since Jonas Eidevall got sacked and she took over. And she actually worked under Joe Montenero as well. So it was kind of a case of the pupil schooled the teacher. But I think the key thing for Arsenal yesterday in that game was, one, being ruthless, two, making the possession count. But to get the goal they got, to go 2-1 up, to go 2-0 up in the game, was phenomenal. What a finish from Mariana Caldente. And we talk about world-class players affecting games. And when Arsenal signed her, of course, we lost Vivian Miedema, who was a stunning player for Arsenal, and the background behind that and the Jonas Eidevall treatment. But Mariana Caldente is stardust. She's a top quality player. And I was critical of her in the first leg, by the way, because I thought Renee's taken her from a wide left position. She's very good at picking up central areas, but to start centrally against a team like Lyon in the first leg, it didn't work for me. But what do I know about football? She was stunning in the second half. She's good at taking the ball in tight areas and getting on the half turn, and always positive to play the ball forward. But the finish yesterday was just sublime with the top bids in the goalkeeping.
Albert, listen, I watched it, mate. It was a great finish. There's a couple of things that I wanted to ask you about. Firstly, I mean, under Jonas, before he left the club, they were in a horrible run of form. Horrible run of form. And suddenly this young lady's come in and total transformation. What's she done, do you think, Albert? What's this new manager done?
Great question, Trez. I think with Jonas Eidevall, and there's a lot of Arsenal fans that won't pull no punches with his time at Arsenal. I went to watch some of the games last season, and the football boys was absolutely terrible. For some of the quality of players Arsenal have got, you've got World Cup winners and European Championships playing defensively at the back with Leah Williamson and Leah Kadina and Amanda Ellisted, who got to the semi-finals of Sweden in the World Cup. For the attacking talent that Arsenal ladies have got, for them to be playing the type of football that they was playing was not acceptable. And I think the key thing for him going, to be honest, I was glad that he went. And I remember seeing, because Arsenal obviously put out a lot of social media footage in terms of training bits or whatever. And Arsenal had to play in 2 qualifying ties before they got into actual Champions League. And there was a focus on one of the team talks in the second leg against, I think it was FB Hacken. And I looked, and I'm not no body language expert, but you could tell those players were not playing for that manager. And I think when they lost at home to Chelsea in the league, Trev, bums on seats. When you see empty stadiums, the Arsenal hierarchy look at thinking, he's got to go. But in terms of Renée Slegers, great question. She's brought a calmness to that side. I don't think she was the original choice for the job. I would have liked Percy at the time, and I've been open about it. I like Casey Stoney to be the manager, but obviously she's got the job now for the Canadian national women's team, and good luck to her. But when you take over and your first 11 games, you win 10 and you draw 1, 7 clean sheets and score 31, it's a bit difficult not to give her the job, to be fair. But I think as well, Trez, although she's been brilliant since she's come in, Arsenal, when going out of both domestic cup competitions, was not great in the way they went out in them home to Liverpool, and they lost at home to Man City in the Conte Cup and the FA Cup. But this in the Champions League has been brilliant since she's come in. And I said it in the second leg against Real Madrid when they came back. This game is Arsenal's season. They didn't turn up in the first 45 minutes in the first leg against Lyon. But that performance is no stretch of imagination. The best performance by an English side away in Europe. Lyon had only conceded 3 goals.
Well, this is the point. Just before I let these boys in, I'm just going to make more of an observation and a question. And you saying that Lyon had only just conceded leads me into it nicely, Albert. I was watching the cameras kept panning to the crowd in Lyon yesterday on the TV, and their fans were absolutely stunned. They were gobsmacked. You could see that they did not, under any circumstances, see that result coming yesterday. They thought they were home and dry, I reckon, mate.
Yeah, you know what it was? It's because obviously Arsenal made a couple of changes. I must give a shout out to the goalkeeper, Daphne van Domsela. We talk about David Raya in the Arsenal men's team bringing a calmness and an assurity to the back four. Daphne van Domsela does that, and she was missed in the first leg, to be fair. And obviously Chloe Kelly comes in, who's direct and a great cross of the ball. But they had a couple of changes. They brought in Ada Hegerberg, who's a top player, and obviously they brought in Wendy Renard, who's the captain, 500 games for Lyon, I think it is, experienced. But defensively, Trevs, they were all over the place yesterday. And from set pieces, they're not a small side, they're a tall side, but Arsenal gave them consistent trouble. And for an experienced coach, I don't know what Joe Montenero said or did. I know he made 11 changes or 11 changes in their league game before that game against Arsenal. And I think what helped Arsenal as well is they had a full week to prepare for that second leg, and they know what they had to do. But to turn in that top level performance against a side that have, like I said, only conceded 3 goals in the Champions League, I think that's the first time they've conceded more than 3 or more goals since October 2022. So Arsenal went there and absolutely cooked them, barbecued them, whatever phrase you want to use to cook chicken. But it was a stunning performance, and it wasn't a surprise that a lot of the players after the match paid homage to Kim Little, who's been there for a number of years. But to put in a performance like that, defensively they were brilliant. Leah Williamson and Steph Catley at the back. The fullbacks did a great job. The midfield, you got to dominate the midfield, and you did that in the Lions Den against an 8 times winners in Lyon. It was superb.
Albert, I'll openly admit I wouldn't say no interest, but I don't follow the women's game at all. I support Arsenal in anything they do, whether it's opening a packet of crisps or a can of beer or playing in the Champions League final, be it men, women, or children. I'll always be an Arsenal fan. So I have got no questions for you, but I know Dan and Dale do. Dan, can you come to us first with like what your sort of question that you had? Because clearly, listening to Albert, he loves the women's football as much as he does the men's football.
Yeah, to be honest, I just wanted to ask him and see how you thought the current team at least compares to the 06-07 side that won the Champions League under Vic Akers. Because when you look back at Vic Akers' time, obviously 22 years as manager, the record was set was unreal. I think we went like 4 seasons without losing a game, and we're still the only British team to win the Champions League. So when you look at those records, you'd sit there and think, wow, that team was unbelievable. But I can only imagine the women's game now compared to them is just totally different. So where would you put it if we win the Champions League this season against those records in the past?
It's a good question because obviously football's moved on a lot. And I think with Arsenal, I think the fact they've only won 4 trophies in 8 years is not great for a club of Arsenal stature if you talk about the players that play for our club and the honours that this team's won. She gets some players. Karen Carney's playing in. If you had Faye White, Alex Scott, those are some stalwart players. But I think it was a different competition. It was a different name. I think it was the Europa Cup final. I think it was called then. I'm not too sure, but this would eclipse it because to not have made an European final for 18 years. We was close to a few years ago. I was there at that semi-final. Painful defeat against Wolfsburg are still trying to take it out of the system. But I think that would eclipse it personally. They've got a tough opponent in the final, which I'm sure I'll go into a little bit more detail about them. But the thing is, Arsenal are there, and like I said, 4 trophies in 8 years for a club of this size. And I think them winning the Conti Cup last season masked that, to be honest with you, under Eidevall particularly, them Arsenal players were not happy. And it's not good enough for Arsenal to not win a WSL for a number of years. They've not won one.
Dale, you had a question, and we'll talk to Albert about the opponents, Barcelona, in the final.
Well, the two kind of run nicely side by side, so the timing's quite well. Actually, it was as we know, they've got this Barcelona side in the final right now. I don't know much about this Barcelona women's team. I'm not going to say I do, but looking at the odds before the game, Lyon were quite heavy favourites against the Arsenal women in the semi final just to go through. Now, looking at the odds for the final, Arsenal women are nearly just over 7-1. They're like 15-2, with Barcelona 1-3 on, suggesting the Arsenal ladies don't have a chance. What's the key differences between this Barcelona side and the Lyon side the girls have just put out now? Because everyone was raving about this Lyon side like they're the best team out there, but then all of a sudden now we'll beat them. Barcelona now the best team out there. So what's the key differences, and what the Barcelona brings to the table that Lyon didn't?
Firstly, they're both heavyweights of the women's football, and they've dominated obviously the Women's Champions League over the years. I know Lyon wanted revenge for the final last season. I think Barca won 3-2. I have to double check that. I think it was 2-0 up Lyon, but Barca's a serious side, man. Like I remember watching them come into. I watched a ladies' game at the Emirates. This was probably, maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe. And they absolutely wiped the floor of Arsenal. Their technical ability is insane. They're absolutely insane. That's why it was crazy when the Lionesses made the final in the last World Cup. They've done well. Obviously, there's some key players missing, and I thought some of the English supporters a little bit dismissive of Spain. I'm like, Spain are a technically gifted side, man. I mean, what they've done to Chelsea. To be honest with you, I'm not surprised they beat them, but it's the way they've done it. And they played Chelsea a few seasons ago in the women's final. They beat them 4-0. That was under Emma Hayes, and that's 4-0 in the final. But they've got some fantastic players, man. If I go through some of their players, they've got Paredes at the back. They've got an amazing right back at Una Bashiel, who's played for Manchester United ladies. For me, one of the best right backs in world football. Aitana Bonmati is the best player in the women's game, full stop for me. Technically gifted. If you get a chance to see her play, people, if you haven't seen her already, absolutely amazing. We've got Salma Parallelo, who's she's won a World Cup, but under 17s, under 19s in the national side. And she's only like about early 20s. It's insane, the level of quality that they've got. So Barca's going to be really tough, man. It's not impossible, but Arsenal, they have the players to hurt Barcelona. They do. And the belief is there now. You've come through the Madrid in the quarterfinal and you know, being 2-0 down, and you come back and obviously you produce that performance in the second leg against Lyon, one of the heavyweights. Arsenal have got nothing to fear, but I make no bones about it. This is going to be a very, very difficult final. And they've got some quality players that can hurt Arsenal, and equally Arsenal got players that can hurt them. So it's going to be an amazing final if both teams turn up and play to their capability that they can do.
Albert, we always do well in Lisbon, mate. Arsenal team always play well in Lisbon. You know, I know they've got their backs to the wall, the Arsenal ladies, but they're going to give us what they've given us enjoyment anyway, you know, and hopefully they'll go there and play out of their skins and get us the win. Ferg's back now, so I'm not going to talk anymore.
I have been here all the time, but sometimes 5 on the screen, this looks a bit better sometimes. So I took myself out for a bit while I was doing some bits behind the scenes, and then my front door went. So
we missed you.
Yeah, I know, like a hole in the head. Listen, you know, it's just really good that we, you know, the achievement of getting to a Champions League final. We're talking about the men coming up soon, about hopefully us progressing past PSG over 2 legs, and also matching what the women have done. It's just really, really good for us to take a bit of time to recognise the great achievement. as I said, I don't concentrate on it because I don't have any knowledge of it. I've got very little knowledge of the men's team, some of the guys might say. But yeah, look, Dan's nodding. But I definitely have zero knowledge of the women's team. And to be honest, when you said there about the previous manager, I thought everything was hunky dory and glory. And you said no, it wasn't great. So that's eye opening.
You need to get back off this screen, get your phone out, press AI again, and try to give you some more long words, Fergus.
He's taking the mick out of my chat GPT. I found it. It's amazing. I love it. It's absolutely brilliant. But it's not all about the AI. You have to tell it what you want the AI to tell.
Right. Listen, as much as I love the ladies, Albert, that came out wrong. The ladies football team.
No, it didn't come out wrong. It's true.
Donna's watching, so I've got to be careful. We've got to talk about the men now when we've heard, because the ladies have done a job. And are we talking about Palace briefly, Ferg?
Yeah. Listen, Albert, do you want to stay on for the show, or
I've got another 10. I've got another 10 minutes for fire whatever.
Okay. Okay. Should we briefly talk about Palace? The key moments in the Palace game was Jakub Kiwior. Talk to me about Kiwior and how he has turned the haters into lovers. It's been absolutely amazing. He scored in 2 minutes and 26 seconds to give us the lead against Palace. What's your thoughts on Kiwior, and would you be wanting to keep him in the squad going forward?
Who are you asking?
Albert.
Yeah,
Albert.
Okay, I thought so. I was going to answer it.
Yeah. It's a struggle, Albert, sometimes. Struggle.
No, you know what it was when we because it was said a few seasons ago that we needed left-sided centre-back cover at Arsenal. So we brought Kiwior in, and fair play to him. Like, he's been fit for more or less kind of 3 months, but he's hardly played any football. So to come in kind of cold and perform the way he's performed has been exceptional. And I think it's no surprise that since he's come into the team, obviously Gabriel's been out. Him and Saliba, obviously, you got to get them playing together, because obviously they've not played together over a sustained period of time. So it wouldn't have been that plain sailing for him to come in. But he's really good over both legs against Madrid, and obviously he got the goal, and that's going to be massive for his confidence. And we're going to need him, man. Like he's going to be a mainstay in the team now for the short term, or for however long he's going to be, here. But he's done very, very well, and it's important that relationship with Saliba is built very quickly over a short period of time.
Dale, your thoughts on Kiwior, his opening goal? He took it well, didn't he?
He took it very well. I mean, it was. I thought, in all honesty, the defending was quite slack. There was no one within a couple of yards of him. But to put that header on target from where he did, with the accuracy, I thought he did very, very well. Can't fault the guy for it. As you guys have said previously, he's come back from so much stick. He played left back for us earlier on in the season. He got a bit of stick there. He's filled in centre half, got a bit of stick before. So for him to come into the team and have the impact he's had over the last kind of 3, 4, 5 weeks, it's been superb. And if anyone deserved a goal in that team on Wednesday, it was Kiwior.
And Dan, I know you get very passionate about how some fans react. I know many of them are on social media and Twitter and all that sort of react about fans. Jakub Kiwior, Kai Havertz, many others have been the butt of jokes of some of our so-called fan base. Wasn't it just really good to just like rub their nose in it by him getting that goal?
Arsenal 3, PSG 0.
That's the 5th.
Where did you get that line, Dan?
Dreamt it last night, mate.
Yes. ChatGPT.
Listen, I can't, mate. I can't not think about tomorrow's game. Don't care about Palace anymore.
Well, okay, should we leave you out of it then when we talk to Trevor? Because Trevor, talk to me about the Palace game. What's that?
I want to talk about PSG now. We're going to win Champions League.
Yeah, we will do. We will do.
Ferg, Trevor, I stood Kiwior's corner on this podcast. I actually called you out before it. I'd watched him play and I knew he had a mistake in him, but I also knew that he was. I like his attitude to the game.
You said it to us ahead of the Real Madrid game, and you then, when watching the Real Madrid game, you had somebody beside you who slagging off Kivior, but he had his Ricket, which he has won every game generally. So early on, he had a great game there afterwards, didn't he, Trev?
Yeah, I can't remember slagging someone off for it, but
no, you didn't.
yeah,
But
we were talking, and
somebody was slagging him off beside
Kivior
you.
made a very early error in the home game against Real Madrid, and I turned around to the bloke next to me, who's my mate. We weren't slagging him off, and I said, "Do you know what? That'll be his last mistake he makes tonight. He won't make another mistake." And he hasn't put a foot wrong since, really, is he? You know, he's been superb. I'm over the moon for the lad. Over the moon for the lad, because he was open. One mistake and he was going to get stomped on. But not only has he been superb, he's been quite creative from the centre-back role, topped off with a goal in the last game, you know. So I'm really proud of the lad. And I would even go as far as to say, I think, if you think about errors made over the last, since Kivior come into the side, I think I'm not sure, but off the top of my head, I think Saliba's probably made more errors than Kivior, you know.
He's made a couple recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, so I think it's lovely that we've got someone of this quality to come into the side in place of possibly who was going to be our player of the season, Gabriel. I have no concerns about him playing against. I'm going to try and lead it in for Dan now. I've no concerns against him playing against PSG tomorrow, Ferg. But you know, the funny thing is, lads, you know what I was like before we played Madrid? I was an absolute bag of nerves, couldn't sleep, couldn't think, couldn't talk. I just couldn't get it out of my head. Strangely enough, and I don't know if this is bad or good, I'm not worrying so much about PSG.
I'm the total opposite, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Total opposite, yeah.
I've got it in my head that if we play at our best, we beat PSG. That's it. It's that simple for me. So it's strange, isn't it? Yeah. Should we let Dan talk about PSG now, Ferg?
No, we're going to finish up with the Palace game because Eze got an equaliser. It was his 30th Premier League game for Palace. Yeah, I'll tell you what we can do. We can just remove Dan from there. Isn't that better? We just do it like that, and Dan can sit in the background. And when we talk about PSG, we will bring him back. Should we do
but
it
now
that
he's commenting. Look,
I could see that. Let's go back. Let's set him back in. So yeah, Eze gets his 30th Premier League game goal for Palace, and then Trossard restored the advantage just before half time. Winning at half time, and to be honest, I was quite confident. I thought the atmosphere in the stadium, Dan, you will be able to talk about this. And yes, I know you are going to give PSG 0, Arsenal 3, but it was flat and expected. So, like the game's done, isn't it? The league's done, as we know. Liverpool have now won the league, and it's all about.
Done, it's absolutely not done. By the way, we are not that far ahead to get second, to drop into third, fourth, fifth. Maybe we still have to get second, and I know people are going on like it doesn't matter. We should always be aiming for the highest we can finish, mate. That's what we are as a club, and you have to set that standard day in, day out to be able to keep trying to progress and win. And we've got to try and finish as high as we can. For that reason, and also because the pack behind us are very, very close. And you look at the games we've got left, we've got to go away to Liverpool, we've got to play Newcastle. They're not easy games. Bournemouth is not an easy game as well at the minute. The only game on paper you'd expect us to win is Southampton. Easily. The rest of them are not easy games. So if disaster hits and you rotate for those games and you only win one of those four, I don't think that gets us top 5 at the minute. So we've got to get something from what are difficult games still on paper. So for people to dismiss it, I think it's a bit early.
Dan, do you know what? I honestly think, mate, sorry, Ferg, I'm butting in a lot tonight. I'd like to apologise, but I know you're not thinking for yourself, so I'm helping you out, you know. Listen, I honestly think, Dan, seriously, if we beat PSG this week and then we beat him again next week, we've still got 3 league games to play after. Liverpool away, yeah, that I fancy us to draw there at least. And I think if we qualify, beat PSG, then our league form, our last 3 games will see us through, mate, because the players will be looking somewhere else and they'll be fine then. I honestly do. Get the second leg against PSG out of the way, and then we go our last 3 league games. And I fancy us to win 2 out of 3.
Albert, Trevor mentioned it a little bit earlier about when we're talking about Kivior, that Saliba's made a couple of rickets recently himself. He had one 2 weeks ago, I think, and then one recently at the weekend where we conceded the equaliser to Mateta, where he just looked like he lost his concentration a little bit and just let the ball get under him, similar to the last one he conceded. But people were calling out on social media and some WhatsApp groups who were saying, was it Raya? Was it Saliba? Who would you say, not trying to call fault, but who would you say should have done a better job of what they did there?
Not trying to call fault, but whose fault was it?
Yeah.
No, for me, it's Saliba. Listen, he's set some incredibly high standards since he's come and joined Arsenal. More so in the partnership with Gabriel, but he's not there, so he kind of has to take the lead role because obviously, Jakob Kivior has not played a lot of football. To be fair to him, but no, that for me, that's a fault with Saliba. And what you don't want to see is that happen on too many occasions, not with the magnitude of some of the games we've still got to play. And touching on sort of the back of Dan's point, is Dan's right. Like I think that game against Palace, I think that really would have irritated Mikel Arteta because it'd have been ideal to win that game. And obviously, in between, you've got the Bournemouth game in between both legs of the PSG game. So that's another 2 points. I mean, 13 draws. I mean, Jesus, I still can't believe it. But yeah, so I think that's been a bit of a. So we need to pick up some wins, man. Like this, I know this whole thing of our European form's better than what we've done in the Premier League, but we still got some games to get over the line, and we need to do it sooner rather than later. Just to sort of keep away the Hound impact behind us.
Dale, that's an interesting point. 13 draws, our inability to hold on to a lead and dropping points effectively ended our Premier League campaign against Liverpool. Liverpool took it. But Liverpool, they drew 7. They lost 2. We only lost 3. So it is all down to draws. And that, do you put that down to the injuries? Do you put it down to a change in tactics?
I put it down to multiple things, and one, let's not forget, right, that we drew against Palace on Wednesday night, and Martinelli had a goal disallowed. But there's no way in a million years they could have been sure on that. There's no way they could definitively say that was in or that was out. That was complete guesswork. That's not the first time that's happened this season, right? Let's look at some of the games we've drawn. There's been silly decisions. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. There's been a lot of silly decisions, a lot of firsts that have happened in the league this season where it's the first time it's happened and it just happens to be against us again. That's probably cost us 4 games there, right? So there's probably 4 games you can say we've drawn which we shouldn't have drawn. So straight away you take that 13, that takes that down to 9. I think the other thing is we're not going to go over it again because we've mentioned it time and time again, but lack of a top 20 plus goal a season striker, someone who can break down defenses and be the difference maker in that scenario where we're struggling to get it over the line. I think a combination of the 2 things there. So bad decisions. I wouldn't say it's down to tactics as such. I think it's more like I don't want to say the things that have gone against us, but that's ultimately what it comes down to, right? That and a lack of a striker.
Dan, did you want to come back in before Albert says his farewell? Because I know he said 10 minutes. I'm looking at the clock.
Yeah, it was just to come in on Raya really, because I'm still very surprised that people have criticised Raya at all for that goal against Palace, because he's done exactly what he's told to do. That is the position that he's trained to pick up. Because if he stays centrally in the goal from where Saliba is, it makes him really, really easy to press. The striker that's closing him down only has to make 3 or 4 strides to then close him down and essentially make the team rush and either have to knock the ball long or can close down the ball being pumped long. So he has to come out to one side to make the press a bit more difficult, make him more press resistant. And it's 100% on Saliba. He should have either played the ball into Kivior or the goalkeeper, or preferably into Timber, so they can loop the ball in channel when they get pressed, which is what they're trained to do. Raya's absolutely in the position he has to be, and people criticising him, I just think he's done what his manager's told him to do, and it's not really his fault.
Albert, you said 9 of those draws came from winning positions.
Yes.
Was that down to lack of concentration or poor officiating?
Like Dale touched on, it's a mixture of different things. But I think if in terms of sort of when we reflect on our Premier League campaign when the season's done, we said kind of at the start of the season, Arsenal had 5 draws at the whole of last season. We've got 13 and we still got Premier League games to go. You you can't win a league title with those amount of drop points. It's insane. There's no way that would happen. And that's with the drop off of Man City and obviously Liverpool taking advantage. So a culmination of different things, Fergus, but our inability to finish teams off in winning positions is 9. That's too many points to drop.
Yeah. And you know, scoring goals, we said we need a 20 goal a season striker. Bearing in mind we've had injuries to Saka, who was doing quite well. We are only 17 goals behind Liverpool. If we did have Saka fully fit for the whole season, if we did have Havertz fully fit for the whole season, that gap's not there. So the striker argument, whilst I think it is a valid argument, I think without the injuries, I think we go further. Listen, I can understand Mikel Arteta's frustrations in his post-match interview. I think we all had our frustrations, but it was almost a case of just like acceptance that it was done. Albert, anything finally you want to say before you part your ways with us?
I mean, I'll say a couple few things. Obviously, we're all in the world of social media, but God, some of our fans, man, I'm like, if we don't think we can win the Champions League, I'll tell you what, give me your ticket for the semi-final tomorrow, and I'll happily go. that's the first thing. But no, listen. Obviously, it's been a disappointing league campaign, but we'll touch on that sort of more towards the end of the season when it's done. But in terms of the Champions League, let's go and create some history, man. Like we've lost our last 4 European finals, man. It's been painful. And if we can go and do the unthinkable and pick up the biggest trophy, then we'll create some major folklore in this football club. But listen, we've got to take care of business tomorrow. I actually was offered a ticket for tomorrow, but let's just say, financially, I can't really justify that. So, I can't.
It wasn't a face value ticket. Then take it that way.
No, absolutely not, Fergus. No. I said, do you get free fries and a drink with that? No. I said, no, I go with that. So,
Albert, seriously, keep an eye on Ticket Exchange. There are a couple popping up. We got a few guys sorted out today. We needed 5 in our group. I think everybody's been sorted, and they are dropping on a few tickets. So please do keep an eye out. Just keep on refreshing, keep on trying. Genuine fans like you and us definitely need to be there ahead of some corporate UEFA representative. So
Fergus, very dignified. I could use some very choice words, but I'm not going to do that before the watershed.
Albert, he's being a bit more dignified than I'm going to be in a minute. Let me tell you, son.
Albert, before you go, I've got one question for you. It needs a one-word answer. Are we going to see 2 Arsenal teams lifting the Champions League trophies this season?
Jesus,
leave it. Don't answer it. Leave it. No. Don't answer it. No, don't jinx it.
No, that's a disgraceful question to ask before I'm back to the department.
Fergus said the other day, no, let's get this right away first. We need to focus on this. I said, no, we dream. The players focus. We dream. Keep that dream alive. The answer is yes.
I hear you. The parallels are crazy. Playing Madrid and French teams in the semi-final. It is crazy when you think about it. But yeah, we'll get tomorrow out of the way first, Fergus. We'll get tomorrow out of the way.
Albert, listen, so many people thanking Albert in the chat. You must be much nicer than us lot, mate.
I'm talking about that. No, love to the chat, man. I recognise a few faces in there, so I love to the chat, 100%.
I love talking to you, Albert. You're a top man, and I'm gutted you're not there tomorrow. Maybe you'll pick up a last-minute ticket. I really, sincerely hope you do, mate. And you know where we are if you do, yeah?
Of course I know where you are. Of course I do.
Albert, you know what I am loving? Because I know how old you are, and you look about 22, but I'm seeing a little bit of grey in the beard. So,
yes.
That's made me feel a little bit better.
I'll catch it up. I know I do say that to people. They're like, I said no. The age is really starting to show now. But I'll embrace the silver fox to a degree. The silver fox,
yeah. Albert, thank you as always. Really appreciate your time. Take it easy. Anybody want to check out Albert? He's on Albert JTV. He does an awful lot with on the women's football. He has his own show. He does watch-alongs on the women's and the men's football, and he works closely with Sophie and the guys in Highbury Squad. So check him out, Albert J TV on all socials. Thank you, Albert.
Speak to you soon. Up the
Cheers,
Arsenal.
Albert.
mate.
Top man.
Up the Arsenal. Cheers.
Right.
Bye.
Do you know what,
Apologies, mate. I was just nearly sick then when you described yourself as a silver fox, Fergus.
Do you know what, right? Well, something Albert said then, boys. I've been thinking about it and saying it a lot, right? Arsenal is a club full of history, right? Albert mentioned history, right? Full of history. Since 1886, we've been making history, right? So there's not many, with a club that's got so much history, there's not many opportunities to make a bit of history that's going to be different, right? That's different. And this is this current squad's opportunity, isn't it? Because we've never won this thing before. It's a bloody great chip on our shoulder that we need to brush off, because a team with our history should have a Champions League win on their record. Fingers crossed we can do it, boys. Fingers crossed.
Listen, our path to the semi-final was dismantling Real Madrid, literally dismantling Real Madrid 5-1 over 2 legs in the quarterfinals. PSG, let's not get cocky, but they did edge past Villa. It was 5-4 in aggregate. Villa gave them a really, really tough game at Villa Park. And that stadium and the whole end were so noisy, I think it rattled them a little bit. We beat them 2-0. Havertz and Saka scored early in the season. But I do think that this team that we're facing tomorrow has improved a lot since we faced them early in the league stages. And they're also the side that we faced in the semi-finals in the European Cup Winners' Cup semi-final in 1994. Trevor, I'll come to you on this. How are you feeling ahead of this game? I know we've touched on it, but what do you, they're a team that play football, so we'd rather play a team that plays football than a team that have a low block. We saw how Villa were able to pick them up, as I said, 5-4 in aggregate, but just wasn't good enough. We beat them early in the season, and we've got history. We got to make sure Super Kev is behind us in the stands.
Look, right, I stand by what I said earlier, Ferg. Obviously, I'm desperately want us to win tomorrow. Obviously, I'm a bit nervy about the game. Obviously, it's a massive game, but I'm not feeling as nervous and as worried and as frightened, to be honest, as I was in the last round against Real Madrid. Real Madrid came with everything, with reputations and all that, and so that got to me a bit. But people have been saying that the PSG team now are much changed to the PSG team we played and comfortably beat earlier in the season, right? And I accept they're a better, different team. So I've watched a bit of French football highlights this last couple of weekends, and I watched a bit of the highlights of the Villa game v PSG back, right? And you boys are probably going to call me out over this, but I honestly feel that if we play to our best tomorrow and the fans are on a level with or even better than they were against Madrid in the home leg, I'm convinced that we can take a comfortable lead to Paris for the second leg. I truly am.
Dan, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm absolutely not going to call you out, Trev, because I 100% agree with you. Listen, on our day, if we play our football and we play well and the crowd's behind us, we can beat any team in the world, right? We're at that level now that we can do that. Now, I think the gap has narrowed a little bit between us and PSG from earlier in the season. Like, you won't see the same PSG team in the way they play it and also in the guys on the field. Like, they'll have 3 changes from that game. Zaire Emery won't play in there. It will be Ruiz that slots in. And they didn't have Kvaratskhelia. They bought him this year from Napoli, and he'll play on the wing. It'll be Doué on the other side, and it'll be Dembele up top, who didn't play in the first game. It was Lee Canning that played. You've then got to look at our side. Odegaard didn't play in the first game we played against them. He'll be back in. That's a positive. But then we've lost the likes of Gabriel and Havertz as well. So the gap has narrowed. But then I'd argue that the performances and the confidence we get out of Madrid is a huge boost to this team. I think they already had confidence, but I think that sort of sell it in stone that not only do they believe it, it's actually happened and it's something tangible that they can get hold of. And I think that's why you're starting to see a bit more belief in the fan base. Like it was maybe belief as such in the first game against Madrid, but not seriously always thinking that we could actually go there and win 5-1. Whereas now I think it's not just belief, it's expectation. And if we perform well, we will beat this PSG side.
That's strong an expectation.
I'm fully expecting us to beat PSG. I'm expecting us to get to the final, and I'm expecting us to win this Champions League because I fully believe that we are the best team in it. And I said this earlier in the season. When we're on it, we are the best team in Europe. And that's because of the way that we're set up tactically, the way that we suffocate teams. What we have to be careful tomorrow is PSG are very, very good in the wide areas. And you'll see, for example, like Doué and Hakimi play together on the right-hand side. And I think they'll probably try and target our left area where we invert. That's where we've got to be really, really careful tomorrow. If we negate that and we get on the ball when we play our football, we'll beat that PSG side.
Yeah, you mentioned Hakimi. He's wing back with assists. He's got 6 goals and 14 assists. What's your thoughts on that, Dale? You've also got Dembele, who's had 7 Champions League goals. So they have grown since we've met them back in whenever it was early in the league.
Well, firstly, I think when Trev said it, people will shoot him down. I think the majority of Arsenal fans, including all 4 of us on this podcast now, would agree with what you're saying. I don't know of any Arsenal fans that don't believe we're going to beat PSG tomorrow night, in all honesty. Dan just mentioned Hakimi and on both sides there, the wings. I think after watching PSG several times this season in the Champions League, they're going to be wary of going forward because they know the pace we've got with Martinelli and Saka on each of the wings there. And their fullbacks, historically in the Champions League this season, have played such a high line. They're always quite high up in the opposition half. And that's what makes them dangerous going forward. But they know the pace we've got. They've just seen what we did to Real Madrid with the pace that we've got. We're saying as well that there's a lot of discrepancy. This is a different PSG side to what we played earlier in the season. I can't agree with that. PSG this season in the Champions League, they beat City 4-2, a poor City side, may I add at that as well. They struggled to get through the group stage. They had 2 very, very good games against Liverpool. They played the game of their lives. They were lucky, in my opinion, to beat Aston Villa over the 2 legs. Aston Villa should have gone through. It was only Donnarumma with some world-class saves in that second leg what kept them in that game. And that was mainly down to, as you say, Dan, the atmosphere that Villa Park can create, because it is fantastic. Like any English ground can be like that. I think that's going to be the key difference tomorrow. I do think, and I do expect us to beat them. And as you mentioned there, Dan, I do expect us to be in the Champions League final. I think it was Fergus who mentioned it earlier. Actually, there was nerves. We were all mentioning in the group chat. We were all nervous about the Madrid tie beforehand. I don't think anybody is about this PSG side.
I'm more nervous now that Dale. I'm more nervous now than I was against.
I'm definitely not.
I kept my opinion. I kept my opinion of what I thought the PSG, the Real Madrid score would be. I thought we'd lose 1-0 at home, and I thought we'd go out there and probably nick it. But I never imagined what happened, as the pictures that John showed of me and Dan looking at each other with our eyes bulging at 3-0. We couldn't believe it. Dan, can you talk to me a bit about this Vitina? He's a midfield engine. Is he a threat? Like, because the Arsenal formation is going to be 4-3-3. Enrique is a bit more fluid with 4-3-3 and a 3-2-5. What do you reckon?
Yeah, sorry, just when you said about things bulging, you gave me a flashback to you at Crystal Palace, mate. But do you remember that, Fergus?
Dare I ask?
Anyone standing behind you? It's gone over his head.
Yeah, lost. You look right back there, don't you?
I can elaborate if you like me to, mate.
No, you're all right.
No,
yes. Ka-chung, that's coming, incoming. Yeah, you were quite interested as well.
Right, football.
Yeah, football. Sorry, back to the football, Fergus, you dirty old man. Listen, I don't fully agree with your comment, Dale, when you said about being a different side. They are physically a different side to when we played them. And when they've, in recent years, lost their superstars, they've gone through a massive transition of adapting to a new way of playing based on a real team focus, young players, very similar to what we did. And even in this throughout this season, they've been rotating the first few months of the season, trying to find their best starting 11. they've now found that best starting 11, I think, since January. And it's only the last few months you've really seen them kick on. And the performances that they've put in since then have been a lot better. They're more of a controlled side. Like Luis Enrique has done a fantastic job in rebuilding this team. And their midfield three of Vitina, Neves and Ruiz is a very technical midfield. So we've got to be very careful when we press this team tomorrow, because they are a side that can play around it. And I don't think you can highlight just one controller in that midfield as well, because like João Neves, the youngster, has just elevated this year and he's had a fantastic season so far. Vitinha is a brilliant footballer and Ruiz for the Spanish national side is a great footballer. But as a three, they've near enough settled a bit like our midfield three has of Partey, Rice and Ødegaard. So we've got no Partey. We've got to try and solve that problem. I don't really know how he's going to solve that, because there's part of me that thinks, is he going to drop Marino in and drop Rice deeper and play Trossard up top? Part of me thinks he'll say, no, we're going to stick with Marino up top because it's worked so well. But then what do you do with the 6 and the 8? I think I've sort of come to the conclusion that I think he'll keep Marino up top. I think he'll play Ødegaard with someone alongside him and Rice at the 6. And I think that person alongside him, I think he might throw us a bit of a curveball tomorrow and a bit of a surprise. And I think it could be someone like a Lewis Skelly that plays in the 8 role. And it could be someone else that plays left back, either a Calafiori or Timber going across with Ben White coming back. And just because of the threat they have on the wings, someone that doesn't invert as much, and then Lewis Skelly in the middle. And I think that might be something he plays with.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting, Dan, because I've written down my thoughts about what shape the team may take tomorrow, and I'm about on the same wavelength, mate. I think playing Marino deep against Ipswich was a bit of a case of Arteta seeing what was going to work and where for this game. I honestly do, but I think for me, Marino up top has been a revelation, and when he drops, he probably drops and is very effective a bit deeper as well. He's got that. He can hold the ball well, and he's got that close ball control. I like what Marino's doing playing up top, because I like it. It can drop a bit deeper if needed. I think you're right about Partey. For me, Partey, he's got a massive shout for player of the season. I'm fuming with him for getting booked in the last minute in Madrid. It was absolutely unneeded. The Real Madrid players had been trying to get Arsenal players in trouble all night, and right at the end of the game, Thomas Partey gave in and reacted like they've been trying to do all night. But so, yeah, my thoughts are that. I even thought about them attacking wide on our left side, Dan. It wouldn't surprise me if Tierney didn't get more minutes at left back, because he doesn't invert so much. He's a proper left back, and Skelly pushes up into the midfield, like you said. It's highly possible, and I wouldn't be unhappy with that. I wouldn't be unhappy with that in the slightest. Calafiori, yeah, I love him as a player. He's going to be a great player. Whether he's the right player to play when that team attacks down that side a lot relentlessly, I don't know. So for me, Timber at left back, or even Tierney at left back, push Skelly into the midfield, makes me feel a lot more comfortable with how we're going to play. Because on top of everything I've just said, Skelly in midfield, yeah, he's in midfield. But what we're forgetting is he's got the legs, right? He's a young kid. He'll run for 90 minutes. And he can move around the park and cover where required as well. So I'm excited about seeing him play up the top of the field.
I'd be worried, Trev. I'd be worried, though. Like, if you got Kivior and you've got Calafiori, and whilst he's absolutely amazing and probably one of my favourite players of the season, Lewis Skelly, covering for Partey in the midfield, if that was the case, that's a lot of change and inexperience on that left-hand side, and it would worry me.
Ferg, what made you mention Kivior there in that sentence?
Because the reason I mentioned Kivior is if your centre pairing of Saliba and Gabriel's there, that gives me a little bit more comfort, because Gabriel always would go out and cover for because we drop into a 3 and then the inverted. That's the reason I mentioned it. It's not digging out Kivior by no means whatsoever. He's been amazing.
Well, you're not digging him out, but you're questioning his
No,
ability.
he's
to
going
play
to
there
he's going to
under
be on
pressure.
that side. No,
He's past that.
it's the amount of change, mate. It's the amount of change in that area. That's all I'm worried about.
It's not changed. Kivier's not changed. Kivier's been in the side for the last 4-6 weeks now. It's not changed. People need to leave Kivior alone.
I'm not having a go with him.
Don't even question if he's in the wrong position. Let the boy play. He's doing it superbly.
He's in his best position as a left-sided centre half. He's in his best position. That's where he's always played his best. He hasn't played as good as a left back, left centre back. That's where he plays, and he was brought in to cover Gabriel. But Gabriel is so strong alongside Saliba. They're such a strong partnership, and Saliba has been covering. Maybe as Kivior's learning the role in a really crucial time in the season.
You just got to leave him alone. He's not learning anymore. He's not learning. He's playing.
Okay. Well, let's look at Calafiori then. Calafiori we saw him at Forest. Great going forward. Quite adventurous, and will try and have a pop a goal. But defensively, sometimes I questioned him.
Now, if you want to say Calafiori's still learning how to play in the Arsenal side, I'll put a case for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and what I'm talking about, Trevor, is the three. No, I wasn't picking on Kivior. I'm saying you got Kivior, Calafiori, and Lewis Skelly moving him into the midfield. That just creates too much change for me. Forced by Partey getting that yellow card.
We'll have to agree to disagree then, because Kivior doesn't give me the slightest concern. Not the slightest concern.
I'll be honest, I don't even see where Kivior comes into this conversation. Because
I'm just
midfielder.
going to go and get some popcorn because this has been fantastic.
Okay.
I'm pulling out now. That's it. I'm done now for a minute.
Listen, PSG lost against.
You've thrown him now, Trevor. You don't know what to say.
He's
all over the place now.
Yeah.
He's worried he can't mention Kivior's name because he's going to get shot.
No, I'm not worried. I stand by what I said. I wasn't having a go at Kivior. I was just mentioning.
By the way, I agree with Trev in that I don't worry now about Kivior, and I think that's because he's been so good the last few weeks, and not only on his own but as a partnership. And maybe this is a question, right? Like, there's absolutely no doubt Saliba and Gabriel together are a fantastic partnership and the best partnership we've got. But if you was going to lose either Gabriel or Saliba, who do you think would be the worst one to lose? And I think you look a couple of years ago when we lost Saliba, and now we've lost Gabriel. Love Gabriel, fantastic player, absolute monster. But I think Saliba partners well with someone coming in that maybe is not as confident. I think he covers for people well because he covers for Gabriel a lot as well. Whereas if he was to come in with Gabriel is very forceful, he's aggressive, he's on the front foot, and maybe leaves a little bit of a gap for someone to be there. And maybe that's why Kivior's doing a lot better in addition to being in his natural position. But I would worry more about Calafiori. I think just defensively, one-on-one against either Doué or Kvaratskhelia. I think for that reason, I'd love to see Timber at left back and Ben White at right back if Ben White is fully fit. But one thing I don't want to do is see Lewis Skelly playing 6. I want him playing 8 or at left back. Don't want him playing 6 because that role left by Thomas Partey is a huge responsibility in this team. Probably the biggest position in the starting 11. What are you thanking me for? I'm not agreeing with
you. You were agreeing with what I said, that I was worried about the combination of that 3 on that side.
I'm agreeing.
That was all.
I'm agreeing with Trev.
Right. Yeah. Okay then.
Right.
Based on everything we just said there, guys, right? Can we really see that many changes being made? Because we've just discussed pretty much a whole new starting 11 there.
No, we haven't. We're discussing Partey not being able to play, Dale. That's all. Partey can't play, so we're looking at the options. Fergus wrongly brought Kivior into it, for which I've pulled him up. We'll discuss it further tomorrow, and then at the end of the discussion, we'll decide that I was right anyway. So after that,
Donna, I feel your pain.
We're not talking about a whole new side. We're talking about missing Thomas Partey is absolutely massive.
Vital.
Massive.
There was a comment before. Oh, it's huge, without a doubt. There was a comment before. I think, I don't know who it was. I can't see it in there now. But about playing Lewis Skelly in the middle. I don't see that as an option, if I'm honest with you. He's not played a single minute there all season. Yes, he is a central midfielder by trade, but he's played left back for her, has he? If he has, he's played
a
there
few
very,
times.
very, very little minutes.
Not
there
for
in the
long,
midfield
but
this
me and Dan,
Yeah,
where was it we were watching it, Dan? We saw him play. It was an away game. Was it Ipswich?
Is the Ipswich he played every 10 minutes. But don't forget, look, Lewis Skelly came through the system in the reserve side as a 6. But the reason I say about not playing him there is because the experience you need in a top level game like the Champions League to read passes, to intercept and break lines, to just track players and cover for the team, that's the role, that's the position. And if Partey's not there, for me, that has to be Rice that plays there, because we don't have someone else that can do that at the minute if Jorginho is also injured. So you're going to give that to an 18-year-old to control a game in that position. Look, don't get me wrong, I actually believe he could do it, but I just think it's a bigger risk to take than to play him in the 8 position. And I would rather see Lewis Skelly play 8 than I would Zinchenko. I think he's got more to his game to play there when you've got options that you could move around. But that, again, that option is only if Ben White is fully fit. If Ben White's not fully fit, I don't think you start plugging and moving too many people around, because then you've got to, even though it's the same players, they're all in different positions. I don't think you do that. But the only reason I say that is if Ben White is also fit. And I think that's what Arteta said. What he's going to choose totally depends on the players that are available to him. If they're not available, he will pick something else.
Ferg,
Yes.
you've picked up on that comment, mate. You just put it up, not me. In that, and it's right what Demsek says. None of us have mentioned Zinchenko. Is he going to throw a curveball and stick Zinchenko in the midfield?
He's been playing him quite a few times recently.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a better move than playing Calafiori and leave Lewis Skelly at left back.
What about Kivior? Can he still play?
If you allow him to, yeah. Listen, PSG have only
before we go on, mate, Trev, you've got to get a flag with Kivior or a shirt with Kivior on it, mate. You've got to do it.
Leave it with me.
PSG have lost 5 of the last 6 away games against English teams in the Champions League, only winning 1. They lost to Manchester City twice, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Aston Villa. It bodes well. It bodes well. Arsenal have never lost to PSG in European competitions. We've played 4, won 2, drawn 2, lost 0. The first leg in the 1994 Cup Winners' Cup semi-final at the Parc des Princes was 1-0 with Ian Wright scoring in the 35th minute. And then Highbury, Kevin Campbell's 7th minute strike ended with Arsenal end up in the final. We've got to mention Kevin Campbell, haven't we, Trev?
The flag will be there tomorrow. The flag's been to every European game this year, and he's watching over us. Good Kev, big Kev. I'm sure he's watching over us. It's been to every game. We'll have pictures with it there tomorrow. It'll be in Paris next week. Even if I don't go, Dan can take it. We will make sure that Kevin goes to every game, because the big man is watching over us. And in particular, Fergus Keating, the big man, Kevin Campbell, is watching over my mate Kivior, and that's why he's not making any mistakes, let me tell you.
Right, boys, let's do predictions. Dale, I'll start with
predictions, mate. You've got to try and say those stadiums' names again, please, mate, because I'd like you to confirm which stadium we're playing in, please.
Parc des Princes.
Closer than your first attempt. You had a bit of a
mate, you want to see how small this... That's the other thing I need to do with the chat GPT or whatever it's called, is get the text to get a little bit bigger. It's been brilliant, though. It's really given me some good stuff. You need it to
speak for you, mate. You need to do the text-to-speech thing.
It can't do the accent. It can't do the accent.
We can do it for it. To be sure.
No, it's not quite there. Not quite there.
I logged on the podcast tonight, and I just heard Trevor going, I was like, I wonder what it was going on about. It was going on for ages.
No, it's been really good. It's given me some good pointers, so I'll use it. I might even use it for my. No, I'll leave that. I'll keep that private.
Do you know what? I love it when me and you have a little bicker on here, Ferg, because it's exactly what we do as fans. We'll be in the Woodbine tomorrow, you and me, and we'll be bickering for most of the time, won't we? You know
what? When are you going to buy a pint?
Listen to him, Dan. Listen to him. Oh, short arms, long pockets. Yeah, I know all about you, Fergus Keating. I'll be there. I will be in the pub at 3:00 tomorrow. The Kevin Campbell flag's going on the wall in there, and I'm going to buy you a lemonade, Fergus. Don't worry about that, son.
Thank you. I'm not driving tomorrow. I sorted out my logistic problem. Uber are taking care of my daughter and my soon-to-be son-in-law. They're taking them from Stansted to home, so I can carry on drinking with you guys. Dan, I expect by the time I see you at a respectable time, you will be absolutely shit-faced.
I am getting into a beer garden for 2:30, and I'm enjoying the sun. I'm enjoying some beers. We are going to sing. We're going to be loud. And by the time I see you, I probably won't even know if you're attending the game or not. But I don't care.
So by 3 o'clock, when you have to come out of the sun, for obvious reasons, you'll be in the Woodbine, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Funny little Irish fella, aren't you? I don't know. I'll probably see you at some point. Not sure exactly what the plans are, but I know the plans are drink a lot of beers, be very loud.
Is the flag coming out? Are you cracking the flag open?
Don't know. People really want.
It's got to be for a semi-final. Come on.
He can wrap the KC flag around him. Dan, wear the KC flag, son.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Either way, we'll be very loud, and there is a big group of us on the Block 5 concourse. So get there early. Get there for 7 o'clock. You said predictions, Fergus.
Yes.
Right, is my 3-0 prediction the right prediction? I don't know. Look, I think we're going to score goals. I think we'll score 2 or 3. We've got to keep a clean sheet. I'm going to stick with 3-0 and I'm manifesting 3-0.
Dale?
I initially thought 3-0, but again, 2 or 3-0, it's going to be one of the two. I'm going to go with 2-0. I think it'll be 2-0.
Right.
Trevor?
Do you know what, Ferg? Against Madrid at home, I was adamant on 2-0 one time. I was adamant on 2-0, and it actually ended up 3-0. So I've got this feeling that we're going to score goals tomorrow against PSG. I really have, right? So I'm going to go 3-0 to the Arsenal, expecting it to be the same as Heath says. Heath says 4-0 to the Arsenal. I really got it in my head that we're going to play really, really well tomorrow night, and we're going to win the game and give ourselves a lead that we can defend in Paris.
I'm nervous as hell. I'm going 2-0 to Arsenal. But I think the key thing is, even if it ends up being 1-0, the key is even 0-0. The key is to go back to Paris with a clean sheet. I think that's huge. Dan, you got one more question before I press that button.
I wanted to ask you guys on the back of the conversation we've had, what is your 11 that you're starting tomorrow from 1 to 11? What would you pick? We've had a lot of discussion of what you might do in a few different formations, but what's your 1 to 11?
Is Ben White fit? Is Ben White fit?
What's your 1 to 11?
I'd have Ben White. I'd have Ben White at right back. I'd have Timber at left back. I'd have Kivior and Saliba as centre halves. I'd risk Miles Lewis Skelly in an 8 or a 6, and Rice to be the alternative. Then it would be Odegaard. Martinelli has to start. Saka, and do we do Wanyeri through the middle?
You're not playing Marino?
Why?
Marino, yeah.
I was just up with you, Fergus Keating. I can't wait till tomorrow. You're going to get some ear bashing, you are, tomorrow.
I normally do.
I was just about to say, you've basically copied my 11. You've gone ChatGPT Dan instead of ChatGPT, haven't you? But never mind.
No, that broke. That did. I tried it. It was shit.
Trev, what's your 11?
I'm much the same. Obviously, Raya and then Kivior and Saliba. Right back and left back. If he trusts Ben White, then play Ben White at right back. But I think he'll play Timber at right back. And then Skelly at left back. I worry that he's going to drop Marino into the midfield with Odegaard and Rice, and he's going to play Trossard up front. I hope he doesn't. I hope he finds a way to fit Timber at left back, move Skelly up the field, keep Marino up top, because I've got nothing but great words to say about Marino. I think he's been outstanding. And I think it's really important that he plays up top. I genuinely do. I think Marino's style of game when he plays up top suits us better than Trossard's. I genuinely do. Although Trossard's been scoring goals, I know that. I just think with the way Marino holds it, Marino's size as well. He's a big lad, you know. So all of those things. It depends on who he wants to play left back for me. If he plays Timber left back, move Skelly up the field with Rice. I don't worry too much about Skelly being inexperienced at this level in midfield, purely because I trust Declan Rice. Declan Rice has got an engine in him that will cover anything, you know. So maybe Skelly and Rice would work 8-6, 8-6. I don't know. Not really bothered. And then, of course, Odegaard. Martinelli's got to play. Credit to Martinelli, hasn't he been backfiring all cylinders last few weeks? Fantastic. Yeah, Odegaard. I want Marino up top. I've waffled a bit there, but you get the gist.
Yeah.
I can't see that many changes, if I'm honest with you. I think it'll be fairly simple. I'm pretty sure he'll go with Skelly at left back. Right back will be Timber. The two centre halves and the goalkeeper we know. I think the midfield three will be Rice, sitting slightly deeper with Marino and Odegaard in front. And I think on the left it'll be Martinelli, Wright, Saka and Trossard up front. I can't honestly think he'll do anything else.
He has been playing Trossard up the middle quite recently as well. So I think we said at the Ipswich game that that forward six that has been played, which does have Martinelli and Trossard on the pitch. Dan, you said that's what you can see to be playing against PSG. So, yeah, you're probably right. Boys, I'm going to press this button.
Press the
button. Press the button.
Fella as well. He's a big fella, folks.
Yeah, press that button. Listen, if anybody is at the stadium tomorrow, just bring everything. I know some people talk about lunches, everything. Just bring your voice, bring your passion, bring your emotion. Be in early. Be in the stadium.
Don't bring your half and half scarf.
Yeah, don't bring your half and half scarf. You could
It
end up
caused
in
major
trouble.
problems last game. Don't go into that, though.
That can cause a diplomatic issue. Do not bring a half and half scarf. Do not buy a half and half scarf. Do not advise. If you are going to buy a half and half scarf because you want to have it for memory, by all means, but keep it in your bloody bag. Do not wear it around your throat.
Do you know what, boys? I've got a Bodo Arsenal half and half scarf, right? Which, if I'm going somewhere, I'm never.
I would be wearing that on Thursday, by the way, if I were you.
I should have bought it out tonight, shouldn't I? Because Bodo Arsenal at the moment is very apt, isn't it? You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
it is. It is.
Press the button,
boys. Boys, you have been watching an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans, as you can see, for Arsenal fans.
Wonderful.
Lads, if you don't like this, then...
Mate, that actually just gave me goosebumps. Like, normally I'm used to hearing that music on it, but that actually gave me a little bit of goosebumps. Same as last time, I wasn't nervous at all until I got into bed the night before, and I think I'm going to be the same. I'm just not going to sleep. We're going to win the semi-finals, mate. We're going to go to the finals in Munich.
She said that as well, didn't she? She wasn't nervous at all when she got into bed. Listen, if you like what we do...
Put your dirty mind aside, mate. It's not as important. We're going to win the Champions League.
Please jump over on the YouTube channel. Click like and subscribe, and you get notifications that we come up. Guys, I've really enjoyed this. It's been brilliant. It was great to have Albert on earlier. It was great to touch on the Arsenal women's team. Here we go, Trev time.
No, it's not Trev time. Have you seen how many people are watching, mate?
Go on.
Over 350 people watching.
It was nearly 500 at one point.
Why do people want to listen to us? I mean, I can understand why they want to listen to me and Dan and Dale, but you, I just can't. I don't know why, Ferg.
See, what's the numbers go up? Look, the numbers are going to fly. Look, 450 straight away.
You know what they really want to see, mate?
Right, boys, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I've got some work stuff to do. but it's going to be really, really difficult. I've got to keep myself very, very busy. I've got to sort out my suit has been adjusted for my daughter's wedding. I got a new suit and I need to pick that up tomorrow.
Expanded for the wedding.
No. I had to buy a big boy one for my 6-pack, so you can only get longer legs. So I had to get
keg, not a 6-pack.
I had to get Dan legs stuck on the bottom of my trousers, so I've shortened the legs a lot. So I've got to pick them up. They've been altered. Mate, I've got such a busy week. I'm looking forward to see everyone tomorrow. The people in the chat who meet up with us, really looking forward to those. The people we see on Block 5, really looking forward to those. Bring your voices, bring everything, bring absolutely everything. This is the Arsenal. We are going everywhere.
Fergus. Final comment though. Can't believe you're not picking your daughter up in the airport tomorrow, mate. Disgraceful.
Uncalled for, Daniel.
Right. Any children under 18, please turn off now. Dan, go fuck yourself. You were the one who fucking even said this, you
Language.
hell.
I'm you.
Thanks for listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons or Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too. Up the Arsenal.